come along.
I ain't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say that. What I did say is that there were very curious things taking place, and I didn't necessarily understand it.
There's a short life in
why do you think that is with the creative side?
Well, because losing out money, you got to take drugs. You're going through so much to try and deal with.
Hollywood is
Announced departures of stars boarding private jets under cover of night are no longer mere curiosities. They are flashing red signals of a deeper and more pervasive panic gripping the elite. There's a reason these luxury aircraft are being tracked by bloggers and aviation enthusiasts with near military precision. A reason why their final destinations, discrete cities like Zurich, Doha, Dubai, are being whispered in the same breath as words like asylum, exile, and immunity. These aren't vacations. These are exits. The people...
What do you mean by that?
You give up your ability, your right to being a man. A man don't take it, a man gives it. So when you give up that man card, you don't get that back.
Are you saying what I think you're saying?
No, I'm saying what I'm...
Managers, reputation strategists, and legal pit bulls are reportedly working in 24-hour shifts. It's not to spin a narrative, but to smother one before it explodes. And at the molten center of this mounting inferno sits none other than Sean Diddy Combs. It's the mogul, the cultural icon, the once untouchable titan whose silence, whose secrets, his potential testimony has every major figure in entertainment wondering whether their time is up. This isn't just about Diddy's personal sins, alleged or otherwise. This is about what Diddy knows, what he might possess, what he may have recorded, saved, cataloged, and kept locked away not for nostalgia, but for leverage. Rumors of a blackmail archive have transformed from hushed gossip into the stuff of industry-wide dread. People who once dismissed these stories as paranoia are now asking whether this so-called archive is an ominous collection of visual, audio, and written evidence of decades of private behavior. Might actually exist, and whether it might soon be in the hands of authorities or the press. The idea that one man could have documented the most unguarded, unfiltered, and unapproved moments of the most powerful people in the world is not just terrifying, it's game-changing. The alleged archive is said to be far more than just drunken party footage or awkward conversations. According to some insiders who claim to have seen or heard whispers of its contents, it may include scenes of manipulation, coercion, exploitation, and even criminal behaviors, some of which allegedly involves underage individuals. Drugs, violence, and acts so disturbing that if revealed,
Your cry for help that Justin Bieber has posted. And he's been posting a lot of things that you've heard fans that they're very alarmed and they think that he needs to get help. But this one there's nothing cryptic about it. Justin posted a message to everyone who's concerned about him, I guess. He said, "People keep telling me to heal. Don't you think if I could have fixed myself, I would have already?"
While ensuring every angle was monitored and recorded, there are whispers that cameras were embedded in walls, in fixtures, in objects designed to blend into the decadent scenery, creating a surveillance state masquerading as a playground for the elite. Former bodyguards, assistants, and insiders who once loyally stood by him are now slowly starting to speak out,
in detail.
each dropping disturbing anecdotes that only
whispers a
deepen the
voice,
horror.
a face, and a story
One
that was
claims the
impossible.
infamous parties were like initiation rites, a cross between a Hollywood after-party and something out of a psychological experiment, where the rules were bent until they broke. Another source alleged that guests were often unaware. They were being recorded. That mobile devices were confiscated not just to prevent leaks, but to create a sense of total submission and reliance. This plays directly into the fears now circulating among celebrities, artists, executives, and even athletes, whose names have started to surface in rumors and Reddit threads.
Moved to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
But to erase every digital fingerprint that could tie them to certain events, certain addresses, certain years. People are rewatching old interviews, combing through archived footage, and trying to decipher long-forgotten interactions that suddenly feel suspicious, loaded with subtext and heavy with fear. One of the most volatile names now being linked to this storm is Justin Bieber. Once a teenage pop prodigy taken under Diddy's wing during his most vulnerable years, At the time, the media painted their dynamic as a mentorship, a seasoned mogul guiding a rising star. But with recent footage resurfaced
to New York City, and I lived with Sean Puffy Combs for a year.
That's the
exclusive experiences, an entry into a hyper-adult lifestyle, the tone has shifted from playful to predatory. The internet has turned forensic, dissecting every word, every expression in those old clips, and the implications are explosive. Now rumors swirl that Bieber, grappling with years of inner turmoil and public meltdowns, may have finally shared something, perhaps with investigators, perhaps through sealed testimony that cracks open not just Diddy's legacy, but a whole chapter of Hollywood history built on silence and suppressed trauma. If Bieber indeed has spoken, it could unleash a cascade of confessions, plea deals, and strategic distancing by others who fear being next. Then there's Usher, another former protege whose name has been thrust back into the public arena by those searching for answers in his cryptic interviews and evasive comments. Usher has publicly acknowledged living with Diddy at age 14, a fact that has long been known but rarely scrutinized until now. Old soundbites in which he describes their time together as wild and curious have resurfaced with sinister undertones, especially a moment where he was asked if he'd let his own children in the same environment.
I think he's saying, and look, we spent a lot of time on a new documentary that's on YouTube now called What Happened to Justin Bieber. And, you know, my view of this, after especially talking with people in his world, people on his side, is that Justin has had these mental issues for a long, long time, that he's been struggling.
Rising into pressure, his silence may not be sustainable much longer. All of this momentum fueled by rumors, lawsuits, settlements, and explosive allegations can be traced back to a single brave decision: Cassie's lawsuit. Once viewed as merely a beautiful accessory to Diddy's empire, Cassie's voice has reverberated like a thunderclap across the industry. Her claims detailing a decade of abuse.
Nothing worse than if you're really going through something and then people tell you, oh, you've got a wife, you've got a kid, you've got a career.
Your life is great.
Your life is great.
Just get over whatever it is.
You can't say that to somebody who's going through it. It becomes enraging because it's almost like they just slammed the door shut on what you're.
Control meant to prevent what she knew, and perhaps what she could prove, from making it to open court. But the damage had already been done. Her testimony inspired others, sent investigators digging, and possibly pointed directly toward the existence of the infamous archive now at the center of this unfolding scandal. Suddenly, cryptic Instagram captions are being interpreted as warnings. Disappearing tour dates are red flags. Every high-profile cancellation or last-minute trip abroad is fueling speculation that more names are preparing for impact. It's not just celebrities who are on edge. Lawyers, label executives, media owners, and even politicians are rumored to be involved or at risk, especially if the archive includes names that weren't meant to be exposed. Some insiders claim the tapes go back decades. This wasn't a sudden insurance policy, but a strategy built over years. It's possibly even encouraged by those within the industry who saw value in keeping leverage on their own people. And now, as the possibility of legal
parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing. Got punked out and pimped out by some greater desire. You shouldn't have a greater desire than being a man. So I believe that's a big problem with a lot of the actors out there because they get fluid. And next thing you know, once you go fluid.
If authorities already have access to even a fraction of what's rumored to exist, then it may be only a matter of time before indictments begin, before names are unsealed, and before the entertainment world sees a reckoning that dwarfs anything it has endured before. Some believe Diddy's archive was never about blackmail, but about power. It's the same power that has now turned into a ticking bomb beneath the feet of the entire Hollywood elite. And as this storm grows louder, heavier, and more unavoidable, the question that keeps echoing across the hills of Beverly and the halls of every agency, label, and network is simple. Who's next?
You see some guys struggling with that. You see Bieber struggling with that. You see some of these guys struggling with that.
They can't get it out of their head. They can't get it out of their head.
Those caught on them will try to cut deals, deny involvement, or disappear before the truth hits daylight. Everyone's scrambling, everyone's watching their backs, and no one knows who will be the first to fall. But one thing is undeniable: the silence, the complicity. The glamour-coated depravity that defined an era is unraveling in real time, and what comes next may not just change. Careers it may rewrite Hollywood forever.